All right, it is 6 o'clock, so I'll call tonight's meeting of the Canandaigua Town Board to order. We'll begin tonight's meeting with a pledge of allegiance by Councilwoman Ellen Rowe.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Jean, would you like to call the roll, please?
Certainly. Councilwoman Karen Demay.
Present.
Councilman Terry Fennelly.
Present.
Councilwoman Adeline Rudolph.
Present.
Supervisor Jared Simpson.
Present. Can you also confirm the meeting was properly advertised?
Yes, please.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Before we begin, I would direct your attention to the communications binder. What's on the table as you came in. It still sits on the table where everybody came in. If there's anybody interested, feel free to go up and get it and peruse through the communications. I would also like to recognize birthdays for this cycle. October 25th, we have Sean Rubenstein. October 31st, Jesse Cooper, Halloween baby. November 6th, Shane Wheeler. November 7th, Chris Litz. And November 11th, the Veterans Day baby, Dale Zacchaeus. I think they had Veterans Day then. Yeah, they did. It was. And I can say that because I'd say it to him. I'd say it to him if he was here. Oh, we love Dale, and happy birthday to all of those employees, and we wish them the best in this next new year. This takes us to the first privilege of the floor. Is there anyone who would like to be heard at this time? Do not see any hands on the screen and nobody in the audience. We have no priority business at this time. We have no public hearing, continued public hearings, but we do have a new public hearing. Public hearing on the 2023 preliminary Town of Canandaigua budget, including all special districts. And this pertains to tonight's resolution 2022-246. And at this time, I declare the public hearing open and would invite anyone who would like to be heard regarding the budget to speak at this time. Let's see. Any hands? Do you see any hands showing up? Okay, I'll give one more chance. If there's anybody who would like to be heard at this time regarding tonight's public hearing, please speak now. Okay. At this time, I would like to close the public hearing, barring any objection from the board. Okay, so I declare the public hearing closed. Reports of town officials and department heads. Jim.
I'm good.
Okay. Sarah Assessor, Leaf.
Article came out yesterday in the Finger Lakes Times about the Sullivan campaign, and the second part is in tonight's paper.
Excellent.
So hopefully our local public will learn a little bit more about the early history, and they will contribute.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
All I had, sir.
All right. Thank you. Okay, Shauna.
I have nothing additional.
Okay, thanks, Shauna.
Mhm.
HR, I do not see. Doug, do you have anything? And Jean, I jumped over you. I apologize. I checked you off earlier before I got to you.
I am all set unless you have any questions.
No, not at this time. I do not have anything to add to my report other than what is already in the agenda. And this brings us to the reports of committees, boards, and commissions. I do not, other than Karen, you can feel free to interject. For finance, I'd like to thank everybody for their hard work on the budget. It is a daunting task. I think the budget is very responsible. And I'd like to thank everyone for their time and attention in the 2 budget workshops that we had and the work that we did on those.
I could add on cemetery. Saturday, we finished up the hedgerow at on. You can see the fence. Looks great.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Terry, anything for planning public works?
Just the PER, preliminary engineering report for County Road 28 sewer has been started. Are you correct here?
Yeah.
Need to verify that. And we do have to, at our last planning and public works committee meeting, the group committee asked that all of the ARPA money be used devoted to this project. So That's something we talked about, finance committee, and then solve that sometime.
Yes.
Soon, so Doug can, tell the feds what we're gonna use the money, so. Maybe by our next meeting, we could get.
We should
Divvy it
have,
up somehow.
yeah, we should have, by our next board meeting by November, we should have a decision made. We can put that on the agenda for the next finance meeting and we can negotiate and kind of hash out where we want to be.
We do have a drawing that, it made a note that we're gonna advance that to the town board by, what was that, October 17th?
Right.
But that was today, yeah.
Yeah.
I never got it from you, so.
Oh, you never called. All right.
Good thing you came tonight, right?
Yeah, well, not a problem. I'll make it known. You'll have it tomorrow.
Okay. It's a concept drawing, it's something we can use to talk about, but it seems to address all the issues that we have with the transfer station. As far as internal circulation, all the various components, you know, the municipal solid waste, the metal, the construction debris, the recyclables, everything. It's looks a little busy, but it looks like it would be very functional, so we'll have it in the next meeting.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. very much.
Terry, when is the next PPW meeting? I got a little messed up with, I got rescheduled and I missed it. Yeah.
November the 1st. Let's see. It would be
Is it going back to that first Friday?
First Friday, the first Friday of the first full week of the month. So it would be 8, 9, 10, 11. Well,
That's what I was just wondering, like, what. All right, let me know when you know what it is. So.
We'll have to, we did agree.
It should be on the, Adeline, it should be on the town website calendar.
The adjustment date.
It was supposed to.
Right,
That's
I
it.
think we addressed that when I put out the, public notice back in June. but double check.
Okay. All right, cool.
All right. Anything else, Jerry?
No.
Okay, thank you. ECV, Adeline.
Yes, I have two notes. The first is our environmental fair is this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. I hope any town board members would consider coming and any residents as well. It'll be in Jim's neck of the woods over there. He's loaning us some space in the highway garage for the morning, so appreciate that. And also, I wanted to draw your attention to the ECB memo, which is in attachment 3 in your agendas.
All right, thank you for putting that fair together. I know that's something that's been discussed, had been discussed for a long time, wanting to do that, and then COVID hit and it's kind of fell
Hopefully.
apart. Hopefully, it
Annually, I mean, we'll see what the interest is and if we can build it.
definitely. So thank you
We're
very
hoping
much.
to catch some people going to the dump.
Perfect time to do it. Okay, Shauna, do you have anything for the CIC? I don't assume. I checked him off too. I didn't check John off. John, ordinance. I didn't check you off, but I skipped you. I apologize. Skipping everybody.
I have nothing to add that you haven't already seen in the report. Thank you for the.
All right, thank you. All right, now for Shauna. They don't hear you. I will see.
I don't have anything to add, Supervisor. Thank you.
And Chairman McNeil is in Oklahoma at this time. I don't see Oksana. We have cemetery, and I think that takes us all through our reports for people who are on those. All right, next privilege of the floor. Is there anyone who would like to be heard at this time? Seeing no hands online and nobody in the audience, we'll move to our resolutions and motions. Okay, resolution 244. Let me get to my right page here. Resolution 244, acceptance of the monthly financial reports.
Oh, I forgot.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Resolution 245, acknowledgement and authorization of budget transfers by town manager.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Resolution 246, adoption of the 2023 annual Town of Canandaigua budget, including special districts.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. One thing I would like to add as part of the discussion, you will see that the budget is not tax cap compliant. Despite less than a 3% increase in the tax, in the effective tax from $1.03 to $1.06-ish, which is less than 3%. Because of the way the calculations work, we are not tax cap compliant, mainly because of the increase in fire prevention and fire protection that we contributed to meet the staffing needs of the city and meet the needs of Cheshire, and also the business improvement district that was created. There is a tax levy for that, nothing that is on the residents, just of the businesses in that bid area. So those two items unfortunately made it so the budget was not tax cap compliant. But it still makes excellent use of residents of taxpayers' money, and is a very effective accounting and stewardship of those funds. So any other discussion on that? Yeah, 2 nights of discussion. I think everybody's good. Okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution carries and the budget is adopted. Thank you very much, everyone. Resolution 247, the authorization to create capital projects for upcoming multi-year construction projects.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I think this is going to be a great way to keep track of these projects going forward and give us an opportunity to fund them more effectively.
Yep, these are 37. These are, for those of you who weren't listening to some of the other conversations we had had, this is for Fire Station 2, complete streets and sidewalks, and highway road improvements. And by creating capital projects, it allows us to use unassigned fund balances at the end of the year and fund these projects without having to levy the taxes in a new year to pay for those funds. And they can stay open for multi-years. So it's a good way to use those resources. Okay, second, we had a discussion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, carries. Resolution 248, authorized purchase of dump truck with snowplow equipment for the highway departments.
Second, you can do it.
Take your pick.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this?
Is there really only one day that you get to purchase stuff?
Not this, the dump truck, no. The next resolution, yes.
Yes, okay.
There's only so many slots open.
That's wild.
And the dump truck, we may or may not order stuff, because we may not be slots.
And as everybody can see, we're hoping if everything would go well, this would be a 2024 delivery. So we are way out there. It's the state of things as they exist right now. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Resolution 249, authorized purchase of vehicles for highway department.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Carries. Resolution 250, approving the contract agreement with Ontario County for snow and ice control on Ontario County roadways for the 2022-23 snow removal season.
Second,
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Resolution 251, setting a public hearing to adopt local law to amend the town code. Chapter 220-33.1. Scenic view shed overlay and seeker intent to declare lead agency.
so moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Resolution 252, setting a public hearing to adopt a local law to amend the town code, chapter 220-33, incentive zoning, and seeker intent to declare lead agency.
Second it.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Just to confirm, this is basically allowing incentive zoning in any district in the town, correct?
Any other comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Resolution 253, the 2023 dental care program selection.
So,
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Resolution 254, acceptance and support of CTM 22-062, Edgemere Development at to be determined Parkside Drive.
so,
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, they're reading through the.
So before you get in, if we have questions, we do have representatives. So I don't know if you want to come up to the podium. So if we have questions as we're going through it, that might be easier than trying to remember, and then you can talk into the mic and people can hear you who are in line. Fair enough, then it'll put you on the spot. And there you go.
Push a button. And you go right there. No, my question was more a procedural question.
Okay.
Well, because of policy. That is, there seems parking seems to be an issue. But we send this back to the planning board when you come in for site plan approval. The planning board can address the parking issue again. So
Yes.
that was my understanding. So
That's correct. We've only had a preliminary meeting with the planning board so far, so our formal meeting with them, they gave us concerns. We're still working with them to address them.
So this just is another set of eyes, sends it back, and then it'll come back again after the planning board eyes look at it for comment from us.
So I have some questions.
Right.
First of all, I'm really excited to have our first form-based code project. Thanks for coming in and for giving us some ideas of where you're headed. So first, I really like that you're having a sidewalk connection to the Blue Heron Park. So, and sidewalk connection throughout. I think it's really important, particularly in an affordable housing community. I also was a little concerned about the parking. I'd just like to see the study. I saw in there you had indicated 42 spots for 48 apartments, and that you had indicated that your studies have shown that that's more in line, if not 25% over what is usually required. So just some questions about visitor parking and staff parking as well. That's what I was kind of wondering with that. I was wondering how tall are the buildings?
Sure. To address the parking issue first, I'm Dan Gladding with SWBR, the architect representing Edgemere Development. The studies that Edgemere has done is looked at similar size, similar function projects that they have worked on, managed, or other colleagues of theirs have worked on and managed. And so those parking counts include visitor employee parking. They were looking at what's being used on these sites at various times of day over time on average, and found that number and said, well, let's go a little higher just in case, but we don't want to go so high that we're just paving everything. So at the request of the planning board, they are formalizing that beyond their sort of initial informal report into a formal report that will go to the planning board. We'd be happy to share that with you as well. So we are comfortable with our approach. We have since that time also reached out and connected with the DePaul organization who owns the trolley station apartments next door. They were built under the old zoning code, did at the time build more parking than they needed. They knew that. It was the code in place at the time. They have agreed to set aside 10 parking spaces on top of what we're building for this project's use if we turn out to be underparked a little bit.
Did they tell you how many they have vacant? Did they give you a number?
I don't have that off the top of my head.
Because I do drive by and in my, very statistical drive by and look over and glance.
Right.
A lot of them do see, it does seem like there is a fair amount of space available.
Right.
in
And
those.
and that is the case with affordable housing. I mean, statistically speaking, there is less car ownership, less usage. DePaul does supportive housing in that, and that also statistically reduces the car ownership and usage. So this project as workforce housing will be at the more standard, typical, affordable level, which again tends to be 0.6 or so cars per apartment. We're a little above that. So your second question.
If I just could on your question. So the DePaul was a 48 unit apartment project and the code required 2 parking places per.
Because I know that's been a discussion for a long time.
However, the planning board has the authority to land bank, and they ended up land banking some of that. So they didn't require all 96. I think they required 60. but there's actually built-in additional land that can be converted.
That could be
parking.
converted, right.
Okay.
And they're not, they knew they
They're
didn't
not
need
even-
the 60.
They're not even close. From what
meaningfully
I've seen, they're not
using
even close to that number.
Well, if you've got 10 from there, my only concern was just the 48.
Understood,
48,
right.
48, you know, as long as you're over 48, with including that, I don't have a concern with that.
Understood.
And I saw in here related to parking as well, you're planning to put in an EV charger or one,
Correct,
two, and
correct.
just for
There
your
will
apartments use?
They are designated for the apartments use right now. There will be 3, 2 or 3. I have to double check our regulations here. I think it's 2 that are going in. They're typically designated for the apartment use. I don't see why a visitor would not be allowed to use them if they show up. They're not for the general public at this time, but the state funding agencies for the affordable housing projects has made that an initiative that all new affordable projects going for the state funding is including EV parking. So we're still on the leading edge of this, but the infrastructure is building and affordable housing is part of it.
Okay, and then how tall are the buildings?
Yeah, that's a 4-story building, which is 11, 21, 31, 41 feet to the roof and maybe 44, 45 feet at the top to the top of the parapet, which I believe the zoning here is 65 feet is the cap, if my memory serves.
Well, for the form-based code.
It allows for a 4-story.
Yeah, I knew it was 4-story, but it's had the feet too. I thought it was 60 or something like that. So-
Yeah.
Okay. Then. Here. Oh, the transparency concerns. So I know you had said it's because it's a wood structure as opposed to steel structure. That's a pretty significant 25% versus 50% for the form-based code. It's a pretty significant reduction. So just wanted to hear a little bit.
Sure,
from you
absolutely.
about that.
And we will, similar to the parking conversation, going back to the planning board, we're going to the zoning board to have that specific discussion because it is a formal variance request. In my professional opinion, as an architect doing affordable housing for close to 20 years now, that is not a realistic number. What's in the zoning code right now, the 50% is not a realistic number. Wood framing, as mentioned in our variance request, you need solid walls to hold up the building. And that's both just from a gravity perspective. If you think about your house, it's more wall than window. It's also from a wind load perspective, especially on these taller buildings, as the building wants to pitch to the right, that solid wood wall keeps it upright. The second issue, of course, is privacy. Residents, other than when we're doing a specific showcase room, again, in our private homes, more wall than window is what we tend to get. And you tend to get a lot of daylight out of less window than you think. So the 50% number is more than double what we typically see. The project next door, the Trolley Station Apartments project, is actually 19% transparent. And I will be humbly saying, I think it turned out nice. As the designer of that, I'm a little biased, but that's along what we usually see is in the 20% range, and we stretch to get it to 25. And what we struggle with not only is the cost economics of a multifamily building, whether it's market rate or affordable. Every window costs money. It's an opening that gets flashed and waterproofed and trimmed and all that stuff. The window itself has to be installed. And then the other side of that is working with our structural engineers to make sure the building does what it needs to do to meet current codes. And if you go, I already know I have some conversations ahead of me with my structural engineers with what we've done. I've done it long enough to know where I'm skirting the line and I can make it work. But if we were to go more than that, it's not really a feasibly wood framed building anymore. And the construction cost jump from wood frame into steel framing, masonry, anything like that is infeasible for a standard market rate or affordable multifamily
I
building.
was going to ask, is steel that much more expensive?
Yeah, it is magnitudes more expensive. So we will, as you walk into the main lobby, you'll walk into a double height space with an overlook from the second floor. We'll have some key selective steel framing in that area to make that really grand moment as you walk in. Again, if you were to walk into the Trolley Station project, you'd see the same thing. In the community room, again, there's some high volume and some great open space. We'll have a few steel frames, but we have to tighten them in and focus them to those key areas because it's not a cost feasible approach for the whole building.
Can I ask you a question, Ben? The two sections of form-based code, do we have the same transparency in both of them at this point? Because I think when, in our discussions, we were thinking of transparency more with commercial properties as opposed to residential.
That is correct, and I believe that there is some variation, but it is pretty restrictive in terms of really requiring that transparency. And again, as you said when it started, this is our very first official, so we already know that there's some things that we're learning that we're gonna have to go back and also revisit the form-based code also.
But it's 50 in both sections right now?
I think it's actually reduced in this, I'm not so sure.
If you can send me that at some point, that'd be great.
Yeah, I recall there was, in this sub area, there was slightly different numbers for a commercial or mixed use building versus an all residential, but they were both significant.
Hi.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
And we'll
think
be-
they're 40, it's Shauna, I think they're 40 and 50. It depends on which part of the building, but I can get you the specifics, Adeline.
That'd be great.
So you're saying you're gonna struggle to get to, it's gonna be a struggle to get to 25
Yes, yes,
and maintain integrity.
correct.
Would that be a struggle if it were steel?
No, it'd be very easy with steel.
Okay,
And it would be, I mean, not a cost estimator.
yeah, I
but
get the
I
cost.
know
but
double is low, triple, quadruple might be low estimated the cost.
I'm just wondering for
Yeah.
our, I'm wondering for our future purposes of where that number should be for the transparency.
I mean,
Well, whether it
Sounds
be wood or
just-
steel, I think a number like 50, 40, 50% probably high. The whole like the living house.
in a
That's what I was
residential
wondering,
set
residential.
contract,
Residential
absolutely,
versus the commercial.
absolutely.
Really, we need to have that conversation separately.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
absolutely areas where we do want
Mhm.
that, right, with the commercial
Yeah.
and stuff. with the
Right.
residential up above, so.
Right.
But residential, and you got first floor,
Right.
from there up, though.
Right.
Yeah, I am in favor of what the intent behind the code is. The numbers are very challenging, the absolute threshold, and I believe there is room for some nuance in there for different project typologies and for what you're hoping to accomplish. But at the same time, we very much want to make a varied and interesting, visually interesting elevation that you're driving by. We don't want big blank walls. We don't want big flat walls. You know, we push hard to do what we can to make attractive buildings. And
It's kind of cherry and gray, actually.
Well, I would propose gray,
Just
gray in
gray.
the middle and just the cherry around the
So you
outside.
get the cherry, and that's the Canandaigua
I
colors, you
would
know,
propose
cherry.
that, but, you know, sorry, we digress.
We went to school here.
All right, any other questions or comments? All right, that wasn't too painful, was it? That was good. All right, thank you
Thank
so
you for
much.
coming.
Thanks. All right, so has been moved and seconded. We've had our discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carries. Resolution number 255, accepting the Canandaigua YMCA's proposal to operate the town of Canandaigua's 2023 summer camp programs and authorizing the town manager to execute the agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Do you want to say anything about it at all? It's a pretty cool program.
It's an awesome opportunity for us to partner with the Y. It's gonna really expand the programming that we'll have at Onondaga as well as at Al Park expanded hours. We'll actually be coming out in the next couple of weeks with the whole new recreation brochure. The Y is putting together for us, their marketing folks are putting it together, so. It'll be
In a couple of weeks.
in terms of the recreation programming and
Wow.
everything that'll be offered. So, no, it's gonna be a great opportunity for us to work together.
Right.
And even though she's not on with us tonight, I do want to thank Lindsay for her work and her excitement going forward with that, and the excitement that it's going to bring to our parks program, offering better, more opportunities for our residents and really enriching the summer program for all that might partake of that. Okay, so moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Resolution 256, authorizing the town manager to execute a memorandum of understanding with the city of Canandaigua, the town of Gorham, and the Canandaigua Lake Watershed Council for the purpose of implementing the Canandaigua Lake Sustainable Winter Management of Roads Pilot Program.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Jim, you want to explain all of that big mouthful of stuff in a nutshell?
Well, if I ever got a ministry grant And we're just collecting from Gore, but yes. The three municipalities, with the help of Kevin O'Leary, received a grant to start the program to help use less salt along the lake, that area drains the lake, by combining different blades, possibly brine, possibly water stations, and potentially using the data that we gather in the next 2 years to take that information and share it amongst other municipalities to say how we performed with our equipment and materials over the next 2 years to come up with a program to lessen the sodium, or I should say the chlorides going into the lake to help keep the lake cleaner. So it's not gonna be like, we're gonna jump out there tomorrow and change everything. It's gonna take probably a year of a couple of plow routes of just getting data from it of what works, what doesn't work during what humidity, temperature, wind conditions. How much was put down, travel speed, did brine work better, did calcium chloride work better, did magnesium chloride work better, those types of things.
This is not used on all town roads.
Not the calcium or magnesium chloride, I only use that typically right now as when it's colder than 25 degrees, or a wind chill that's up around 30. I'm using liquid, a little more liquid de-icing, typically just use straight salt. We have been using the live edge plows for a year now, and had success with that. That has worked well with removing more slush, the snow from the road, and using less salt behind us for a refreeze.
You know what the live edge means?
So live edge is if you had 28 or 34 pieces, 8 inches wide. There's 3 springs sitting behind it, and each piece can move left or right, up or down.
On the bottom of the plow.
Yeah, the bottom of the plow, so that instead of having a 4-foot straight edge and your road is like this, like explain like an upside down W, it just scrapes the top and not the ruts. So that's getting down into the wheel ruts to remove more material from the road itself. So we can use less salt behind us. The brine is something that I believe the city is going to work with more due to the proximity of being short distance to their facility to see how that works with pre-treatment. Our equipment that we currently own is, we don't have the ability to use brine. We have the ability to remix our salt here with the magnesium chloride to go out on cold roads or colder days on the road. None of other stations, we really want to see with video what goes on behind us. How long did it take to melt? Did it melt? Did it refreeze? Was there enough put down? And pre-treatment to see if that works from light storm events. So it's a lot of information we're all going to have to gather for the next year or two to come up with a plan to implement to expand it throughout the town.
All right, any other questions? And could the savings in the long run could help.
Well, obviously, the goal is to save man hours from us constantly running the roads, and also raw materials, so putting it down where it's needed. And not too much, but not too little, because as you know, it's going up. So, but we also have to keep public safety in mind. So it's a fine line of, did you do it right the first time out or not? So.
Probably exciting to see.
Hopefully it'll also help the overall health of the lake. and keeping
Yes.
Some of the chloride out of the lake, so.
All right, any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, carries. All right. 257, accepting the resignation of full-time finance clerk 2 and setting hourly rate for part-time finance clerk two.
So move.
I'll second that.
Okay, and this pertains to Kate Silverstrom Jensen, who is continuing her education. So she's willing to stay here part-time. She brings a wealth of knowledge, and we're grateful that she is staying on in a part-time role for us. All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Resolutions 258. We'll just do 258 right now. Appointing deputy assessor and authorizing town manager to execute documents.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, carries.
I'm gonna
Now-
block the last two.
Okay. All right. So 259 and 260. Can I get a motion to approve those as a block?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of resolutions 259 and 260 as a block?
Aye.
Aye. Resolutions carry. Approval of the minutes. We have minutes from September 12th, 21st, and October 3rd.
I'd like to move all three as a block.
Okay,
Second.
moved and seconded. Any discussions, deletions, comments on the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, minutes are approved. Payment of the bills. Jean, could you read those, please?
Certainly. Special abstract dated September 21st, 2022 totaling $120, and that's out of the general fund. Utility abstract dated September 30th, 2022 totaling $10,769.76. General fund of $7,972.36. Lighting districts of $1,219.08. Water districts of $1,578.32. Town board abstract dated October 17th, 2022 totaling $775,787.66. With a general fund of $114,857.67. Highway fund of $404,483.
414.
Thank you,
Yeah.
$414,483.07. Capital projects of $12,293.78. Lighting districts of $2,735.71. Water districts of $231,417.43.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the bills?
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, bills are approved. All right, we have no other business. Takes us to the last privilege of the floor. Is there anyone who would like to be heard at this time?
Great.
But I haven't been here in a while, but I'm like, this is not like you guys.
Put your watch down. Come on. Put your watch. Yes.
You picked
Yeah.
the right meeting, Greg.
Okay, I'm assuming that that is not a request for privilege of the floor from Mr. Gregg.
Aren't you glad you came?
All right, we do have an executive session as requested by the town manager for the employment history of a particular individual with the town manager and town attorney present. I do not anticipate taking any action after this executive session. But we will be returning to close out the meeting. So can I get a motion to enter executive session?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you,
Get
everybody.
out, Greg.
Well, I told Jim, I'm like, I'm not staying until 7.
Well, but you guys finished already.
No, you're not.
Thank you, everybody.
We're taking.
Right, yeah, I know. Just wait till about 7:30 to be.
That's pretty good for you.
Okay, so we'll do that.
That's pretty good for the Jared Simpson era.
Yeah, usually 6:30. Yeah, that's not too bad.
It's just.
I don't think we've had a success.
Because of the-
What was the one that Terry did? We were like 6:45 for that one that Terry did too.
Yes.
You might have been Terry.
I will.
Gotcha.
Yep.
We had a like a 20-minute health and human services meeting today. There were 3 items on the agenda.
The line that they say is.
No. No, 20 minutes.
It is flat, but it's.
Pick the right
Even
night
Public
to be
Works
the,
is fast.
the town clerk.
My very first Public Works meeting.
Everybody's in a good mood.
Yeah.
so it just, you know.
My first Public Works meeting, it was
That's.
2 hours. Because it was January, we were closing
Yeah, wait,
out, opening up. It was
Hey, why?
just-
Okay.
So I'm gonna
Yeah.
reach back out to Tim.
You guys
and ask
just
him
be
if he wants
nice
to
next
reevaluate.
Rebecca's.
Something I
Very good.
overheard.
You know, we had, what was the meeting? We asked her some rough questions in the last meeting and she knew everything.
Yeah,
She was
yeah, I
good to
won't
go.
say that stuff.
I was
But it's
impressed.
just- oh, well, see, I'm looking at
She
it.
was definitely
They're-
Do it
on the ball.
Yeah, I'm like, so it's at 0.2%, that's.
Well, you would know.
Better than what it's supposed to be as a minimum. So
That's good.
shouldn't be like a 7.
Chris, can you unmute yourself? You should be able to.
Passing to Terry. Send him down.
Dude, there's this guy.
Thanks, Jan.
General, I brought that, but I didn't.
See ya.
Take
It would
care.
almost make more sense to go to the front side, so I don't know, but I'll figure. Oh, we might have to like, you know, open up. a couple-
Wow, we might actually be able to eat dinner at like 7:15. Imagine that.
Yeah, these clothes and Terry. We don't have to.
Stop doing
All right, I'll see
that.
you.
Are you using your arms for that?
Yeah, but I'm keeping them close to my body.
Stop
Nothing
using
over my
your
head.
arms for
Nothing
anything.
over my head.
Oh my God. Jared Simpson. You're gonna be like the knights who say me pretty soon. It's just a flesh wound.
Probably. So we have exited our executive session and we are now back in the regular town board meeting. We don't have any further business to attend to, so can I get a motion to,
Motion to
Adjourn.
adjourn.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Have a great night, everybody.
Good night, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, I gotta go pick up a kid from a game.